Imagine being abandoned by everyone you love, including your mother who promised to return with medicine, but never did. You're scraping by, facing bullies, and hungry enough to eat a horse. Just when things start to look up, bam, you get hit by a truck. But fear not, you're not 6 feet under. You're back in the game with some seriously kick-butt superpowers. Turns out, all those negative cringe vibes from others unlock crazy, over-the-top godlike abilities in you. Now you're sitting pretty, ready to rule the school and top the Forbes list. But there's a catch. Everyone still sees you as the loser underdog. At the beginning, we see a poor, helpless woman holding her newborn baby whose name is Lu Shu. She's all on her own and struggling to walk, and also seems to be running away from a group of men who are chasing her. She runs until she finds refuge in a nearby apartment building. Exhausted, she sits down, gently rocking Lu Shu and singing a soft "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" lullaby. Just then, a kind woman named Lin comes outside and notices the distressed mother and child. She invites them in to get warm. Though hesitant and desperate, the mother accepts the offer. However, she tells Lin that she needs to buy medicine for her baby. But as soon as Lin takes the baby into her arms, the mother dips, disappearing without a trace, as if she's vanished into thin air. Lin is in shock that she just left her baby, but she does notice a pretty strange walnut necklace around Lu Shu's neck. Is this a sign that the boy is as nutty as his disappearing mom? The story jumps 18 years into the future. Here we see Lu Shu grown up as a Sigma high school student who is taking a breather from his hectic life to hang out with his adopted sister, Lu Xiaoyu. Deciding to be a good brother and treat his sister to some sweet indulgence at a bustling festival, Lu Shu leads Lu Xiaoyu to a stall selling tantalizing caramelized treats. However, their taste buds aren't the only thing getting a workout. Lu Shu's wallet gets a serious workout too, thanks to the jaw-dropping prices. Despite the impending bankruptcy, Lu Shu is determined to be the best big brother ever and splurges on the scrumptious snacks for them to enjoy together. Right then, Lu Shu hears some random people talking about the magicians performing at the festival who are doing all kinds of tricks like shooting flames right out of the palms of their hands. And also a guy who was carrying things that weigh over 2,000 kilo, which is impossible for us regular human beings to do. Lu Shu found himself caught up in a whirlwind of confusion and fascination. Lately, rumors about these supposed wielders of magic and folks with extraordinary talents have been swirling around like confetti at a carnival. But who knows if any of it is real, right? Just when he thinks he has a grasp on reality, Xiaoyu urges him to catch a glimpse of the magician currently setting the stage ablaze with his fiery spectacle. Eager to get a better view but stuck at the back of the bustling crowd, Lu Shu decided to take matters into his own hands, quite literally. He scoops up his sister and hoists her onto his shoulders, but Lu Shu's arms quickly grew tired from lifting his sister's bony butt, so they squeeze their way through the crowd until they reach the front row. From there, they have a clear view of the magician's performance. As they watch, Lu Shu can't help but notice that this magician wasn't like the others. Instead of just pulling rabbits out of hats, he seems to have real pyromaniac power over fire. He can make flames appear and dance with just a wave of his hand. But everyone else in the crowd seems to think it's just a normal magic show. Then something strange happens. The flames seem to reach out to Lu Shu, surrounding him with a warm glow. At that moment, he has a vision of a shining sword and feels a strange energy coming from the walnut pendant around his neck. But he doesn't think too much of it, too caught up in the excitement of the show. As the magician wraps up his mind-blowing show with a bang of dazzling fireworks, Lu Shu's sister turns to him, eyes wide with excitement. She asks if they can learn those cool tricks and maybe make some cash like the performers. But Lu Shu shakes his head, explaining that what they just saw wasn't something you could pick up from a how-to book. Seems like they have a secret superpower, something you had to be born with. Xiaoyu begs Lu Shu to at least see the magician backstage, and that's when Lu Shu takes her to have a look, and they both sneak into the backstage area. However, upon getting there, they witness a group of black-suited individuals who look like some pretty serious mafiosi-like fellows. And they shoot the performer in the face with a tranquilizer dart, quickly putting him to sleep. After that, they hear Lu Shu's annoying sister, who can't seem to keep her mouth shut for 2 seconds. Typical girl. The leader of the group named Zifei asks Lu Shu what he's doing creeping around back there. But Lu Shu apologizes and explains they were only looking for the bathroom. Zifei reassures Lu Shu, saying they are police officers arresting the magician. However, Lu Shu knows they are lying, as he has enough brain cells to understand that this shite simply isn't kosher. He's not some brainless NPC. However, Zifei underestimates Lu Shu's smarts, thinking he can pull one over on him. After Zifei has his say, the group of tough guys direct them toward the toilet, and they take off. Following that, Lu Shu wonders whether these people are targeting individuals with special abilities. Just then, they run into another guy named Ziwei, who happened to be waiting for Lu Shu to come out. He's just as curious about what's happening backstage. But Lu Shu ignores him completely, walking away without a word. Later, when they return home and meet their Aunt Lin, who's preparing medicine for her husband, Lu Shu asks after the old man's health. Lin sadly informs him that his days are numbered and the end is near. Once inside the house, Lu Shu's sister plops down in front of the TV, watching a news report about strange things happening lately. Meanwhile, Lu Shu takes over in the kitchen, but his sister Xiao Yu just wants cookies. Sadly, fancy treats are out of their budget. They're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Poor as poor can be. So Lu Shu settles for the humble option of instant noodles. As he heads out to buy them, he passes by the old orphanage where they once lived. Memories come flooding back of their time there, when Xiao Yu was his constant support, shielding him from bullies and lifting his spirits whenever he felt down. Lost in this nostalgic reverie, Lu Shu completely misses the traffic lights turning green. And this is when the almighty antagonist of every EZK to ever exist steps into Donga's universe and puts my boy to sleep. However, Truck Kun's plan didn't work as intended, as Lu Shu is wearing the walnut pendant. His demise activates the necklace, causing it to glow and fully regenerate his entire body. My dude instantly wakes up again, wondering how he survived such a tragic incident. Rising like a zombie exorcist from the grave, he decides to troll the truck driver. He demands compensation for being hit, but the driver is baffled by his survival and seeing him walking around becomes insanely spooked. So Broski beats a hasty retreat faster than Lu Shu's mom did all those years ago. But Lu Shu does notice some yellow digits popping up above the guy's head. Curious, he decided to head home, but not without picking up his sister's favorite instant noodles first. However, everywhere he goes, people seem terrified to see him, like he is some kind of half-zombified creature. This makes Lu Shu feel weird emotions and causes more yellow points to appear, though he has no idea why. What the heck is happening? When he finally gets home, he takes a shower and looks in the mirror. To his surprise, he finds no injuries or marks on his body. He feels completely fine. Just then, he notices something even stranger: a glowing seal on his palm, shaped like a golden leaf. Perplexed, Lu Shu can't help but wonder what it means. He starts to wonder if he has somehow gained one of these superpowers that people are talking about on the news recently. While experimenting and speaking into his hand, using words like power, the golden seal activates. Suddenly, a godlike leveling up system appears. Ayo, is this solo leveling or what? Lu Shu is both shocked and scared as the hologram starts addressing him like some kind of god. Reading the hologram, he realizes that it operates on a points-based leveling system, exclusive to him. Remembering the scared reactions of people he encountered on his way home, he thinks that negative emotions are what earn him points. As Lu Shu thinks about it, he starts to feel bad for making these innocent people feel scared or frightened. But then he recalls how people often belittle him and mock him for being a poor little weak boy. So he starts laughing maniacally and completely loses his mind. Calling himself the demon lord of the world, Lu Shu realizes that negative cringe emotions are the key to his growth and strength. He notices different modes on the system and opts for the roulette wheel, hoping to win a prize. However, he quickly discovers that he doesn't have enough points to spin for the high reward levels, which offer incredible items and powers. So he spins the lowest rank with the few points he has right now, and he gains a juicy, ripe apple straight from the god system. After tasting the apple, it gives him a big surge of energy, making him feel better than ever before. Doesn't he know what happened to Eve, eating some random godly apple? However, he quickly uses up all his points, and when the roulette is over, the system gives Lu Shu some kind of sacred scroll. This sends Lu Shu into another dimension, landing him in a place called the Star Plane. It's his own secret dimension where he can fully immerse himself and upgrade his abilities. Despite being in this new realm, he still maintains communication with everyone on Earth, even chatting with his sister while in the star plane. Here, he experiments with his newfound powers and finds it amusing when his sister's emotions earn him points. Fast forward, after checking the news and learning about a big fire in the area close to where he lives, Lu Shu rushes outside to take a look. Climbing onto the roof for a better view, he's surprised to spot Zifei and his group of black-suited men running across the rooftops. When Lu Shu makes a noise, Zifei stops in his tracks, scanning the area to ensure no one has detected them. Trying to stay hidden, Lu Shu immediately ducks down and covers his mouth to stifle any further noise. But since Lu Shu is a failure at everything in life, he also fails at hiding. After getting busted by the men in black, Shu once again generates a stupid excuse, and he tells the men in black that he was on the roof collecting dried radish. Terrible excuse, broski. Being knuckleheads themselves, the men in black buy Shu's lame excuse and continue on their way. Relieved, Shu hurries back into his house, only to be bombarded with questions from Xiao Yu about who he was talking to on the roof, as Xiao Yu pesters him with her questions. Both siblings are startled by the sight of a body falling right outside their home. Deciding to investigate, Shu instructs Xiao Yu to stay indoors while he goes to check on the man. However, as Shu ventures outside, he feels his magic credit score rising due to Xiao Yu's negative emotions as she struggles to contain herself inside the house. Intrigued by her brother's behavior, Xiao Yu defies his instructions and joins him outside, where they discover that the unconscious man is none other than the pyro performer from before. While checking up on the dude, Shu tells Xiao Yu to call the ambulance, but he immediately scraps the idea since ambulances cost money. Hearing Shu's pathetic and greedy state, the dude lying down starts to generate chunks of magic points for Shu. Seeing his magic credit score boost up, Shu realizes that the dude was acting unconscious, and this ignites his petty greediness even more. To gain massive stonks in his credit score, Shu decides to tease the dude in order to pump his negative emotions. Being an expert at being a prick, Shu finally brings the dude to his breaking point as my guy finally uses his fire powers to try and burn Shu into ashes. However, for some reason, Shu is able to withstand repeated fire attacks, which bums out the dude even more and causes Shu's credit score to grow. After much back and forth, Shu lets the dude go and returns to his room. With the magic credits earned, Shu reopens the weird interface and buys a celestial fruit. After munching on the celestial fruit, a beam of heavenly light zaps Shu, turning him into a real-life strongman. Now our boy can lift heavy stuff with ease. Hungry for more points, Shu decides to roast people on his school's Chinese Discord server. Some of his classmates are gossiping about the arson incident, speculating that an awakening might have caused it. Unnatural incidents were on the rise, and there are no explanations for these occurrences. So the rumors going around was that some people known as Awakeners supposedly have superpowers and are hiding amongst regular folks. The next morning, Shu sets out to sell boiled eggs at the market, but his classmates start teasing him. Not one to back down, Shu tricks an arrogant bully named Lili into buying all his eggs. But Lili wants revenge. He tries to pay Shu using his VIP card, knowing Shu doesn't have a card scanner. Seeing this, the school troublemaker, Zhou Qingxi, steps in and pays for Lili, thinking she'll get the money back later. But Lili, feeling embarrassed by the whole thing, storms off from Shu's stall, unable to handle the shame. While at school, Shu overhears his classmates discussing Awakeners. He's at rank F, which makes him stronger than normal humans, but still the lowest among those who are awakened. Rank E folks can control elements like fire or water. Rank D people can dodge weapons. Rank C folks can both counter and dodge human weapons. Rank B can draw power from nature. And the top dogs, Rank A, can totally vibe with and control nature. People can move up the ranks through practice, natural awakening, or just by getting better over time. Suddenly, another student bursts into the classroom, shouting about Li Kai's unexpected awakening. Shu dashes out of his class and finds out from his friend Yilingling that Li Kai awakened after refusing to give a blood sample, and then started fighting with the teacher. With a sense of urgency and curiosity, Shu heads to the roof where the fight is still going on, ready to witness the drama unfold. As Shu hurries along, he encounters that troublemaker Zhou Qingxi again and senses some serious awakened vibes from her. But his focus shifts when he reaches the roof and sees Li Kai teetering on the edge, holding the teacher hostage. The principal, who's got a Hitler vibe going on, must be the mustache, tries to talk sense into Li Kai, but it's like talking to a brick wall. Thinking fast to score some negative points, Shu tries to play lawyer and accuses Li Kai of breaking laws that Shu pretty much makes up on the spot. The crowd is stunned as Shu, the master of random laws, declares Li Kai guilty of attempted murder. While Li Kai is scratching his head over Shu's bizarre legal jargon, some shady guys in black swoop in and nab him while he's distracted. With the chaos settling down, Shu heads back to class only to find two medics demanding everyone's blood samples to suss out the awakened ones. After that prickly ordeal, Shu heads home, where he encounters Suspender Guy once again but brushes him off like yesterday's news, earning himself some extra points in the process. At home, he discovers his sister burning up with fever. Quick on his feet, Shu dives into his interface and scores some celestial fruits, which miraculously cure her fever. The next day at school, he learns about a new teacher, Zifei, who's on board to train the fresh batch of awakened students at the Daewon class. It looks like things are about to get even more interesting. As Zifei started singling out the awakened students, Shu's eyes widened in surprise as he recognized the teacher. Yep, one of the shady dudes in black. And as the names were called, Shu couldn't help but notice familiar faces among the awakened bunch. Zhou Qingxi, Li Li King, Yuan Ling Kai, and surprise Lu Shu. Now, considering Shu's track record as the class underdog, nobody, and I mean nobody, saw it coming that he'd be on the list of awakened folks. Looks like there's more to Shu than meets the eye, and the class is in for a wild ride discovering just what he's made of. After the roll call of awakeners, a new one, Jiang Zui, strolls into the class as a transferred student. Yeling Ling, who is already fed up with sitting next to Shu, graciously gives up her seat for the newcomer. Jiang wastes no time and plops himself right next to Shu, who couldn't resist taking a jab at his somewhat effeminate appearance, teasing him about all the boys who must be into him. Cringe. Fast forward through the credit points time skip, and Shu dutifully follows the school's schedule, landing himself in the Dao Yuan class for awakened students. Xie Fei throws a question at Shu about sodium, but with Shu's brain cells too busy duking it out over who gets control, he blurts out the first thing that pops into his head. Sodium is the road to heaven. As a salt lover, I must agree, it looks like Shu's got his own unique way of navigating through class. Regret immediately creeps in as the teacher gives Shu the sit-down command, but Shu, being the mischievous soul he is, can't help but crack a degenerate grin, much to the teacher's dismay. But hey, every cloud has a silver lining, and Shu manages to score some points from the teacher's disappointment. Then comes the big reveal. The teacher explains that a sodium-potassium alloy, when mixed with an awakener's blood, spills the beans on their rank through some color-changing magic. The darker the alloy turns, the stronger the rank. From A, the big boss, down to F, the basement level. After class, Li and his crew start throwing shade at Shu for being stuck at F rank, the bottom of the totem pole. But Shu isn't one to take insults lying down. Oh no, he fires back with a spicy message on Chinese Discord, calling them out for being fatherless sons of chickens. And just like that, Shu's magic credit shoots up as his enemies fall into his trap of triggered fury. Looks like Shu knows how to turn the tables, one insult at a time. After reaching home, Shu is able to max out his celestial fruit, which makes the fruit now accessible on his shop menu instead of the spinning wheel of fortune. In place of the celestial fruit, stinky tofus were now available on the spinning wheel of fortune. To get something good, Shu keeps on spinning his wheel of fortune, and he keeps on piling up stinky tofu until he finally does get a unique item from the wheel. From a twirl of magic, an enchanted paper emerges, snaking its way into Xiaoyu's soul, setting off her own awakening. Meanwhile, as she embarks on her celestial journey at night, Shu drifts into slumber, only to be jolted awake by the pressing question: what on earth will he do with all that freaking stinky tofu? But fear not, for Shu's brain is a bubbling cauldron of genius. In a stroke of brilliance, he hatches a plan. Why not turn that stinky tofu into cold, hard cash? And so, armed with a bag full of the notorious snack, Shu ventures out the next day, ready to unleash his entrepreneurial spirit. Bright and early on his way to his makeshift stall, Shu crosses paths with his old neighbor named Li, who's gracefully honing his sword skills. In a gesture of respect, Old Man Lee extends an invitation for Shu to train under his wing. But Shu, true to his blunt, and let's face it, illiterate nature, brushes off the offer without a second thought and continues on his way, just happy to have earned some negative energy points. Arriving at his stall, Shu dives into action, working his magic to churn out both magic credit points and cold, hard cash simultaneously. Looks like rejection didn't slow him down one bit. With stinky tofu on one hand and entrepreneurial dreams on the other, Shu is unstoppable. As the pungent aroma of his stinky tofu wafts through the air, Shu finds himself raking in magic credits hand over fist. And to top it off, his customers are not only willing to pay for the tofu but are also raving about its unexpectedly delicious flavor. Word spreads like wildfire, and before long, Shu's humble stall becomes the talk of the town. With each sale, Shu's confidence grows, fueling his determination to succeed, and as he grinds away, he finds himself swiftly navigating through his celestial map, earning magic credits at breakneck speed. After countless hours of grinding, Shu's perseverance pays off as he finally manages to summon a holy fruit. With a gulp, he consumes the fruit, and in a flash of light, he finds himself transported to his celestial map. As he steps into this ethereal realm, the familiar melody of the twinkling star lullaby greets him once again, signaling that he has completed his first layer of nebula. Using the branch-like symbol on his hand, Shu points his hand towards the layer of nebula, which grants him a purple celestial dagger named the Corpse Dog. The next day at school, Zifei introduces the class to spirit stones as he uses one on Lily to demonstrate its use. Apparently, spirit stones were used for magic power cultivation, and since the stone itself had a lot of power, it helped training awaken magic. After receiving one for himself, Shu takes the stone in order to practice controlling his sword, but he fails to do so. Bright and early the next day, Shu sets out from home and bumps into Old Man Lee again, who's still swinging his sword around like it's nobody's business. Once again, the old man tries to recruit Shu for martial arts training, but Shu's got other ideas. Confusing martial arts with martial law from that video game Tekken, Shu gives Old Man Lee the old cold shoulder treatment once more.
What more do you want from me?
Back at school, Lily feels like the king of the hill after defeating all his classmates in arm wrestling. Deciding to push his luck further, he challenges poor old loser Shu. But to Liu's shock and horror, Shu swoops in like Superman and completely outmuscles him, defeating him with both his left and right hands, sending Liu and his crew packing in a cloud of embarrassment. But Shu isn't done yet. Oh no, he's just getting started. To really get under Lily's skin, Shu brings out the big guns, or should I say, the stinkiest of tofu. He unleashes its potent aroma in the school cafeteria, aiming to grind out every last ounce of negative emotion from Lily and his cronies. Fed up with Shu's antics, Lily decides to take matters into his own hands and whisks his friends away to a far-off hideout, hoping to escape Shu's relentless pestering. But little does he know, Shu's got more than a few tricks up his sleeve. In a surprising turn of events, Jiang, who's been sitting quietly next to Stinky Shu, spills the tea about their teacher Zifei's shady past. Turns out, Zifei is part of a mysterious group called the Earth Network, a club where all those shady men in black hang out. And if that isn't juicy enough, Jiang drops another bombshell. Ranking above the Earth Network is the Heavenly Network, a secret society with only a select few members. As night falls, Shu's neighborhood suddenly becomes a scene straight out of a spy movie, with men in black leaping over rooftops like they're in some kind of ninja action flick. But for Shu, this isn't just entertainment. It's a chilling reminder of something he's encountered before. Spying from a safe distance, Shu's eyes widen as he spots the leader of the group, a dead ringer for Eren Yeager from that anime everyone's talking about. Lo and behold, this Eren lookalike reveals himself to be a member of the exclusive Heavenly Network, here to meet up with none other than Old Man Lee. As Eren Yeager enters the old man's humble abode, he wastes no time in getting down to business. He implores Old Man Lee to join forces with the Heavenly Network in their war efforts. But much to Eren's surprise, Old Man Lee isn't buying what he's selling. With a firm refusal, Old Man Lee leaves Eren Yeager with no choice but to retreat empty-handed. Determined to uncover the truth behind Old Man Lee's connection to the Heavenly Network, Shu decides to swallow his pride and join the old man's martial arts training the following day. But true to form, Shu can't resist stirring the pot a bit more. He cunningly delegates the task of playing science teacher to Xiao over to Old Man Lee, ensuring that he'll be making cringe points even in the classroom. Sure enough, the next day in class, Shu's magic credits skyrocket, all thanks to Xiaoyu's contributions. On his way back home, Shu notices that everyone is amazed by Zhou Qingxi as her abilities meet the qualifications of rank A, and she's the only one that has progressed so much in the Doyuan class. But outside his own doorstep, Shu's sister inadvertently stirs up negative emotions in Old Man Lee, whose celestial map bears a striking resemblance to Xiaoyu's, and wouldn't you know it, those negative vibes are boosting Shu's magic credits even higher. With all these pieces falling into place, Old Man Lee wastes no time in reminding Shu of his promise to train under him. As Shu is awakened, he is easily able to pass the first training challenge by lifting a 300-pound vest with ease. Seeing that he is somewhat skilled, Old Man Lee uses a sheet of paper to show the next technique he will teach. Using the paper, Old Man Lee cuts through snow, stone, and earth by focusing his energy to the edge of the paper. Old Man Lee drops some serious wisdom on Shu, telling him it's better to be a master of one technique than a dabbler in many. To drive the point home, he hands Shu a worn-out sword and tells him to slice through the air. As Shu swings away, Old Man Lee meticulously fine-tunes his form, ironing out every flaw along the way. Looks like Shu's on the path to becoming a true master, one slice at a time. After pouring countless hours into his training, Shu's skills start to sharpen like a blade. Under the cover of darkness, Old Man Lee poses a question that cuts to the core of Shu's journey. Why does he seek strength? Shu's answer is refreshingly simple. He's not out to save the world or become a hero. All he wants is to live his life in peace, grateful for every moment, especially considering the hardships he faced along the way. Upon hearing Shu's earnest desire for peace, Old Man Lee agrees to continue training Shu, but not without a condition. The next day, he reluctantly begins teaching Xiaoyu despite their rocky start. As Old Man Lee imparts his wisdom to Xiaoyu, they're interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Shizu Jin, one of the heads of the Heavenly Network, seeking an audience with Old Man Lee. But when Xiaoyu's still struggling with her learning, greets Shizu Jin very impolitely. Tensions rise. Meanwhile, at school, Shu unwittingly earns credits from Shizu Jin's wrath, thanks to Xiaoyu's less than polite greeting. Racing home in a panic, Shu's heart skips a beat as he realizes that one of the big shots from the Heavenly Network is lurking around his house. He finds Shizu Jin in deep conversation with Old Man Lee, dropping bombshells left and right. Shizu Jin reveals that the ruins have resurfaced and extends an invitation for Old Man Lee to join the Heavenly Network, aiming to unite forces with the Golden Foundation, where Old Man Lee holds a director position. But much to everyone's surprise, Old Man Lee firmly declines the offer, sending Shizu Jin packing. After the tension fades and Shizu Jin leaves, Shu can't help but press Old Man Lee for answers about the mysterious meeting. But the old master brushes off his concerns, leaving Shu with more questions than answers. To top it off, Old Man Lee doesn't breathe a word about taking Shu under his wing, keeping their student-teacher relationship strictly under wraps. Old Man Lee then hands Shu 2 sodium-potassium alloy vials to Shu, instructing him to check his and Xiaoyu's levels. That night, Shu nervously takes the test only for it to turn positive. Just kidding. It instead turns a mysterious color that does not match any of the ranks, but rather matches his celestial map. Shu tries to hide the result from Old Man Lee and lies by saying that he is still stagnant on rank F. That night, Shu begins reciting Twinkle Twinkle, which allows him to connect with his celestial map once again and overcome the second layer of the nebula. Shu levels up with a superpower that acts like an invisible shield, keeping him safe from any boo-boos or bumps. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu nails her first nebula challenge and scores a seriously spooky skill. She can bring dead stuff back to life by slurping their life energy into a cosmic vacuum, then boss them around like puppets on strings. For instance, that ant that kicked the bucket yesterday is now back in action, doing Xiaoyu's bidding like it's nobody's business. Xiaoyu's attempt to revive another ant flops. She realizes that she can only use her powers on one thing at a time. Shu suggests she level up and try her hand at a bigger challenge, a pig from the local slaughterhouse. With determination, Xiaoyu channels her abilities into reconstructing the deceased pig, and voila, it's a perfect piggy replica. But when Shu decides to put his celestial dagger, the coarse dog, to the test, disaster strikes. The pig evaporates on contact, leaving Shu feeling guilty for ruining Xiaoyu's hard work. To make up for it, he whips up some scrambled eggs for her. But their peaceful moment is short-lived as danger looms nearby. Sensing trouble, Shu gears up to face the threat, with Xiaoyu by his side, promising to play it safe. They leapfrog over rooftops, racing towards the bridge where a showdown awaits. In the heat of battle, Shu spots his teacher, Zifei, effortlessly deflecting enemy fire attacks. But when one of the enemy's muscle-bound fighters close in, Zifei wisely evades, avoiding a potentially devastating blow. Keeping his cool, Zifei creates a fiery distraction, igniting the enemy members with a snap of his fingers. Despite the flames, the enemies manage to survive the attack and beat a hasty retreat when they hear the approaching police sirens. Seeking refuge, they duck into an abandoned building, only to find themselves surrounded by both law enforcement and members of the Heavenly Network. The muscle of the enemy trio asks his teammates to run away to Mang Mountain while he distracts the cops. As the chaos unfolds, the Muscle Man lives up to his reputation as the MVP, effortlessly slipping away from the guards with his clueless teammates in tow. Shu, ever the vigilant observer, notices their escape and decides to pursue, leaping from rooftop to rooftop in hot pursuit. But just as Shu starts gaining ground, his chase comes to an abrupt halt when a member of the Heavenly Network, wielding blood-based powers, impales the Muscle Man, bringing him crashing down to Earth. Zifei arrives on the scene and upon spotting Shu mistakes him as an ally of the enemy. With a swift command, Zifei orders his teammates to give chase, setting the stage for a high-stakes showdown. The subordinates of the Muscle Man are excommunicated during the encounter. While a huge fight erupts, Shu and the Muscle Man are able to subdue all of the Heavenly Network members. With everyone else dealt with, the Muscle Man turns over to defeat Shu, but soon realizes that he has made a grave mistake, as Shu rips the bones and his arm apart using his corpse dog. Ouch! As everyone is unconscious, Shu takes his leave and returns home. There he finds Xiaoyu waiting, relieved to see him home safe and unscathed. Shu takes her to visit the late-night eateries on Tianfu Street. Before they leave, Shu instructs Xiaoyu to use her resurrected crow to scout the area within a kilometer's radius to check for danger. After scouting the area, Xiaoyu informs Shu that the coast is clear. Back at the scene of their epic showdown with the Heavenly Network, Shu's on a mission to tie up loose ends. With Xiaoyu's spooky energy sensing skills, they start sniffing around for any lingering vibes from their defeated enemies. Lo and behold, Xiaoyu sniffs out the ghostly remnants of the three foes they faced off against. With Shu's guidance, Xiaoyu tries to suck up the leftover energy from the Muscle Man, but oopsie daisy, her powers aren't quite up to snuff. Turns out she needs a mega boost of energy to pull off her undead revival trick. Xiaoyu spills the tea to Shu, explaining that she needs a full day's worth of power to kickstart her magic mojo and bring Mr. Muscles back to life. Shu and Xiaoyu decide to take a breather and grab a bite at the bustling eateries along Tianfu Street. As they dig into their meals, Shu can't help but marvel at Xiaoyu's bottomless pit of a stomach. She chows down like there's no tomorrow, leaving Shu wide-eyed with disbelief. But as he watches her devour dish after dish, a pang of doubt creeps into Shu's mind. Did he make a mistake by bringing Xiaoyu into his world? Unable to take a joke, Xiaoyu begins to cry as she believes that Shu wants to send her back to the orphanage. Don't be a crybaby. As Xiaoyu's tears flow, Shu's mind races back to the memories they built together. From their humble beginnings hustling on the streets to scraping together enough to rent a tiny house, Xiaoyu has been his rock through it all. The flood of emotions hits Shu like a ton of bricks, reminding him just how much Xiaoyu means to him. Not you being a titty baby too, Shu. With a lump in his throat, Shu reaches out to Xiaoyu, his voice trembling with sincerity. He vows to stand by her side, come what may, and promises to work tirelessly until he can provide them with a home of their own, somewhere far away from the past pains and struggles. Gathered around their screens, the Heavenly Network crew tunes in to watch the epic battle between Mr. Muscles and their agents. With the help of the city's cameras, they catch a glimpse of Shu in the mix, but he's a total mystery to them. Try as they might, they just can't figure out who he is. Scratching their heads, they take their best guess at Shu's rank, tossing around ideas like he's some kind of sneaky rank C or maybe even an elusive rank E. Eren Yeager is convinced that the unexpected arrival of a rank C should be looked into. Meanwhile, Fatty switches gears and shares intel with the Heavenly Network about an upcoming ruin that will open in Lu City, the very same place Shu calls home. The next day, oblivious to the behind-the-scenes scheming, Shu goes about his usual routine of peddling his famous stinky tofu. However, since his food has gained a lot of traction, his supply of stinky tofu is running thin. The people are angry at being unable to buy his stinky tofu goodness. Shu realizes that he can farm more credits through their anger and begins to prank people by bringing up their expectations, only to disappoint them by informing them about his finished stock. At night, Xiao Yu is able to summon the muscle man she had absorbed earlier. Amazed by her abilities, Shu warns her to keep her powers hidden from the public. Xiao Yu reassures him and also tells him that she can see the fragments of the muscle man's memories. Thanks to her unique powers, Xiao Yu uncovers the hidden location where the muscle man stashed his cash hours before his demise. Eager to seize the opportunity, Xiao Yu suggests they claim the stash for themselves. But Shu, ever the goody two-shoes, puts on his holier-than-thou act, insisting on earning his own keep and buying his dream house with his hard-earned dough. The next day, a new player enters the scene as Fatty waltzes into Shu's school, introducing himself as Li Yizo, the school's fresh-faced director. As Shu's senses kick in, he gets a hunch that he's actually a rank B and connected to the Heavenly Network. Meanwhile, Fatty, now going by Li Yizo, teams up with Zifei to lead the Dao Yuan class with a clear agenda, to groom students to join the ranks of the Heavenly Network. They waste no time in instructing the students to make the most of the spirit stones provided by the Heavenly Network, using them to enhance their powers and advance their skills. Fatty gets real with the students, spilling the tea about the epic showdown between the Muscle Man and the Heavenly Network. He warns them to keep their eyes peeled for the mysterious C-rank troublemaker who took down the Muscle Man so easily. After class, Shu, feeling pretty confident in his skills, decides it's time to cash in on his spirit stone. Thanks to Jiang Shui's connections, Shu scores a sweet deal with a buyer willing to drop a whopping 240,000 yuan for the stone. It's a big payday for Shu, but little does he know, it might just stir up more trouble than he bargains for. Shu can't contain his excitement as he daydreams about going from rags to riches. Meanwhile, back at home, Old Man Li takes Xiao Yu under his wing for some lessons. But things take a hilarious turn when Fatty from the Heavenly Network shows up. Xiao Yu, never one to miss an opportunity, puts her foot in her mouth by greeting Fatty with a not-so-subtle jab, calling him Porky. Even with Old Man Li's wisdom, Fatty drops a bombshell about some living skeletons up in the northern mountains, likely rank E awakeners brought to life by the nearby ruins opening up. But Old Man Li shrugs it off, saying the Golden Foundation isn't interested in that sort of thing. Fatty gets the hint and prepares to leave, but not before dropping another bombshell. There's a rank C lurking nearby, the same one who took down the Muscle Man, and rumor has it, this C rank is a real sword-swinging whiz, which leaves Old Man Li feeling more than a little uneasy. After Fatty takes his leave, she returns home and surprises Xiao Yu with a brand new mobile phone. Excitedly, he explains that he's saved up enough money to buy them a home, but he confesses that he still plans to work as a food vendor to cover utilities, though the real reason is to stir up trouble and rack up credits through his mischievous pranks. Touched by Shu's dedication, Xiao Yu wraps him in a grateful hug, her heart brimming with emotion. The following day, Shu is back at his stall, minding his own business, when Fatty saunters over. Fatty, recognizing Shu from the Dao Yuan class, cheekily tries to score a free tofu bowl. But their little interaction doesn't go unnoticed by the old vendor nearby, who loudly labels Fatty as a predator of young orphan kids. Scared shite, Fatty quickly decides to pay Shu and befriends him. Later that day, Shu receives a sudden call from Fatty, urging Shu to rush to the Dao Yuan class as their classmates were preparing to depart for the ruins. Knowing he will be away for some time, Shu sends Xiao Yu a message about his departure, reassuring her not to worry. Under the cover of night, Shu and his fellow Daoyuan students are whisked away to the ruins in rugged military buses. Curious, Shu turns to Jiang for answers about the ruins. Jiang explains that they were crafted by a super-fast species from another world. He then drops a bombshell. Inside these ruins lies something called the Formation Eye, a highly prized artifact. What makes it so special? Well, once the eye is taken, the ruins disappear, kinda like John Cena, making it a hot commodity in the world of treasure hunting. After the boring car ride, the students of Daoyuan finally reach a camp near the ruin, and they all meet up with Zifei, who reminds them about the confidentiality of their mission. To kick off their mission, Zifei tells the students to first eat, and then take their sleepy bums back to their respective tents to sleep for the day. Following Zifei's orders, Shu takes his food tray and sits next to Jiang. Just as Shu is about to dig into his meal, an obnoxious Discord moderator barges in, demanding top-notch service and irritating everyone in sight. Unable to control his anger, Shu Pimp slaps the arrogant fatso off the chair, which causes him to go night-night. Impressed by Shu's bold move, everyone around feels a surge of satisfaction as the fatso is escorted to the nurse's tent. Meanwhile, the students of Daoyuan intensify their practice sessions, fueled by the concentrated spiritual energy emanating from the ruins. Feeling embarrassed to sing the Twinkle Twinkle lullaby, Shu opts out of practice. Instead, he decides to rack up his magic credit points by disrupting Lily's peaceful practice session. Taunting him as Baka repeatedly, Shu finally succeeds in getting under Lily's skin, causing him to spiral into a mental breakdown. The following morning at breakfast, the chef heaps extra food onto Shu's plate in gratitude for dealing with the nagging fatso. Additionally, the guard whose seat was claimed by the fatso offers it to Shu as a gesture of thanks. However, seeing Jiang eating on the ground, Shu politely declines the offer and chooses to remain standing. Later that night, Shu resumes his mission to accumulate magic credits. Sneaking up behind Lily once more, he disrupts his practice session, continuing to play his part as the mischievous troublemaker. Poor Lily tries to flee, but Shu is relentless in his pursuit, continuing to disturb him until Lily breaks down in tears. Ah, titty baby. The next day, seeking a secluded spot, Shu decides to focus on his own practice. Within his celestial map, he discovers a powerful armor, similar to the one his father once used, though it's tied to some unresolved issues surrounding his birth. Shortly after, Shu heads to the cafeteria for lunch, only to be interrupted by Lily, who challenges him to a rematch of their hand wrestling showdown. With nothing better to do, Zifei also joins in, and a tent is set up to accommodate the large crowd eager to watch the spectacle unfold. In a highly anticipated rematch, Lily and Shu lock arms once again. Despite hopes for a different outcome, Shu effortlessly defeats Lily yet again, leaving everyone disappointed yet again. Impressed by Shu's prowess, Zifei steps up to challenge Shu himself. However, he too falls victim to Shu's arm wrestling prowess, solidifying Shu's status as the reigning champion of the arm wrestling arena. Hulkamania. Following the arm wrestling showdown, Shu reunites with Jiang, and together they witness a mysterious mist enveloping the ruins. Jiang recognizes it as a portal, an entrance to the ruin. They attempt to flee, but the mist catches up to them, pulling them into its depths. Inside the ruin, Shu finds himself face to face with an undead axe-wielding assailant. Drawing upon the teachings of Old Man Li, Shu swiftly dispatches the attacker with his martial arts skills. However, his victory is short-lived as more skeletal zombies emerge from the ground. After running away, Shu realizes that the zombies stop following their prey after a certain distance. After a frantic escape, Shu encounters a group of awakened students also fleeing from the pursuing zombies. Eager to prove himself as the tough guy in the group, Shu launches a bold attack, swiftly dispatching the undead horde that threatens them. And as a parting gift, Shu leaves them with the axe that he had taken from the previous zombie he had eliminated. As the sun sets, Shu sets out towards the mountains, hoping to gain a better vantage point of his surroundings. Along the way, he comes across the lifeless body of the generous guard who had offered him his seat earlier. Overcome with sadness, Shu resolves to push forward and survive this perilous situation. However, his journey is interrupted when he spots a signal flare in the distance, signaling the presence of others nearby. Deciding to investigate, Shu changes course to locate the source of the flare. He arrives to find a blonde guy who doesn't seem to be a Dao student. Apparently, spies had ventured near the ruins the previous night. Introducing himself as Chang Haiyu, the spy's numerical name raises suspicion for Shu, who seizes the chance to play some tricks and earn credits. Trying to flee Shu's antics, the spy attempts to escape, but Shu isn't about to let him slip away so easily. As they dash into the open, they're startled to find zombie skeletons emerging from the ground. Shu, with a mischievous grin, tricks the spy and leaves him to deal with the undead horde. Against all odds, the spy manages to survive the onslaught of monsters and eventually reunites with Shu. The spy is fuming mad at Shu for his sneaky act. Shu suggests finding a safe place to rest, and though the spy agrees, he has dark thoughts in his mind. As they settle in, Shu nods off quickly, unaware of the spy's scheming. Quiet as a mouse, the spy creeps closer to Shu, thinking he can pull a fast one while Shu does his. But suddenly Shu's eyes pop open, scaring the socks off the spy. Shu grins and admits that it's all just a prank. The next day, Shu excuses himself to go pee, but he has another trick up his sleeve. While he's away, he secretly orders a mountain of stinky tofu to their location, ready to stir up some drama. Shu, feeling mischievous, offers a bowl of stinky tofu to the spy, pretending he's a starving kid from Africa. But the spy's had enough and launches an attack. Shu's not one to back down though, and he fights back with all his might. After a grueling battle, Shu emerges victorious, thanks to his trusty corpse dog. But the victory tastes bittersweet to Shu. He's hit with a wave of guilt, remembering the prank-filled fun moments with the spy. What started as a comedy turned into a horror show. Yet he reminds himself that he's fighting to survive for Zhou's sake. The next day, Shu stumbles upon an area with lush fruit trees, a welcome sight after the barren landscape. Shu tries to get an apple from the tree, only to realize that Alvin and the chipmunks want the fruits for themselves. Being a menace to all life forms, Shu gains credits by angering the squirrels. Soon enough, the critters revolt, making Shu run to escape their onslaught with the apples he has stolen. While running, Shu comes across a stream and stops to drink some water. Suddenly, a wolf pack attacks him, forcing him to flee again. Nature don't like you, bro. As the wolves chase him, his desperation becomes more evident as his shoes begin to wear and tear. Those Nikes weren't made for parkour, babe. Driven by his desire to reach Zhou alive, Shu runs barefoot and soon manages to outrun the wolves. He eventually finds a group of Dao students, including the ones he had met earlier, providing him an opportunity to farm some more credits. Shu opens his stash of apples in front of the starving students and starts eating them one by one. Cruel. A girl in the group tries to flirt with him to get an apple, but Shu isn't having any of it. He eats the apple like a true G, wanting to mess with them more. Shu starts talking about all kinds of delicious foods, making everyone's mouths water and their blood boil. That night, Shu takes the axe from the defenseless students and goes off in search of the Formation Eye, wielding both the axe and his sword. He knows that finding the Formation Eye is the key to getting everyone out of the ruins. As he explores, he suddenly encounters an uber zombie. This zombie is different. It has a horse and a spear. When Shu grabs the spear, he discovers that zombies have emotions because his magic credit score goes up. Realizing this, he steals the zombie's spear and makes a run for it, knowing that this speared zombie is part of a cavalry with a bunch of other zombies following close behind. After escaping from the zombie herd, Shu infuses some of his magic into the spear, making it more flexible and faster. He can't help but feel proud of his new toy. Meanwhile, the survivors from Dao and the Heavenly Network watch from afar, trying to figure out which zombie is the leader. They spot the zombie Shu has stolen the spear from and, thinking it's the leader, move in for the kill. But when they decapitate the poor zombie, they realize their mistake. It isn't the leader at all. Silly rabbits. Panic sets in as they realize the real leader is still out there, probably very ticked off. They run for their lives, hearts pounding. Eventually, they find a safe spot and look down at the herd below, relieved to see the zombies have lost track of them. While observing the herd below, a Dao student points out Shu, who was planning to attack the zombies. The group is impressed, having seen him steal a spear from a zombie with ease earlier. Meanwhile, Shu, hiding in a tree after escaping the herd, reminisces about Zhou. It has been a while since he last saw her, and he misses her company. After resting, Shu starts moving again, but soon finds himself surrounded by the zombie herd, looking like Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. With no other option, Shu decides to put Old Man Lee's training into action. He uses his body flexibility and mastery over the spear, moving with finesse and precision. Shu fights off the zombies, remembering every lesson from his training, and manages to hold his ground. After outmaneuvering the zombie horde, Shu gathers all the weapons they drop, making sure not to leave anything useful behind. Meanwhile, the other survivors follow the path of destruction Shu left behind, amazed by his bravery and skill. As they investigate the scene, they come across the entrance to the heart of the ruins, hidden amidst the chaos of the undead. A member of the Earth Network alerts them to the danger still lurking nearby, prompting them to strategize their next move carefully. With a plan devised, each member of the group takes up their position, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Meanwhile, Shu finds a quiet spot away from the commotion to hone his combat skills. As he focuses on his training, he receives a mysterious holy fruit, its magical properties promising to enhance his abilities even further. As Shu's power surged with his third layer of nebula, he emerges from the shadows just in time to save the group of survivors from the approaching zombie horde. Again, with precision and finesse, he single-handedly dismantles the undead menace, showcasing his impressive combat skills and vast arsenal of weapons. Witnessing Shu's incredible display of strength, the survivors rush to his aid, only to find that he has already dispatched all of the zombies by the time they reach him. With the threat eliminated, Shu takes the opportunity to organize the scattered weapons, turning chaos into order. Seeing an opportunity to further profit from the situation, Shu begins trading weapons for valuable items from the survivors. Despite facing criticism and resentment, Shu's cunning business tactics not only boost his magic credits but also fill his pockets with riches as survivors eagerly exchange their prized possessions for a chance to arm themselves. After making it to the Forbes Richest People Alive list, Shu heads to the core of the ruins along with the group of survivors. Exhausted from hours of walking, they finally decided to take a much-needed break as the sun dips below the horizon. Moved by the sacrifice of the Heavenly Network survivors, who had risked their lives for the students, Shu feels a pang of empathy for their plight. Taking out a piece of apple, he offered it to the starving Heavenly Network survivors. Miraculously, the apple seems to replenish their hunger, thirst, and energy, providing a much-needed boost to their weary bodies. Jealous students demanded apples too, but since Shu is greedy AF, Shu refuses to hand them apples. Rightly so. To gain respect from the homies, a dude decides to buy an apple from Shu, and he cuts the apple into small pieces so that he can hand it to every student. As he is cutting the apple, ghosts appear from nowhere and they bum rush them with murderous intent. As ghosts suddenly pop up, the whole gang freaks out and grabs their weapons. Meanwhile, Shu has a whole different issue. His celestial dagger, Corpse Dog, goes bonkers, flailing around like crazy at the sight of the ghosts. Feeling the ominous power of Shu's weapon, the ghosts get spooked and bolt away in a hurry, leaving everyone puzzled. After the scare, the crew decide to keep on trekking toward the ruins' core, scratching their heads at what just went down. With their energy restored by the apples, the survivors bumped into even more folks saved by Zhou Qingxi, a real superhero who has saved countless lives. Armed with swords from fallen zombies, Zhou Qingxi is a force to be reckoned with. While Zhou Qingxi is busy being a true hero, Shu sees a business opportunity and wastes no time setting up shop once again. With a growing crowd of survivors, he starts selling weapons like it's nobody's business. As Shu is selling his weapons, he receives a summons from the Heavenly Network. Meeting up with Zhang Yutong, a survivor from the Heavenly Network, he is told that both Shu and Zhou Qingxi are the real powerhouses among them. Zhang advised Shu to hold off on selling more spears, recognizing Shu's expertise with them. Intrigued, Shu watches as Zhang summons his own celestial sword, the heart-blood-nourishing sword. With this blade, Zhang probes the depths of a hole that leads to the ruins' core. After sending his sword down, Zhang determines that the hole is 100 meters deep and it also has another hole underneath. Holeception. Since they can't continue their journey to the core just yet, they decide to sit tight for a while. Time passes, Shu decides to check his magical credit score. To his surprise, he discovers that there are 9 spies among the group of survivors, Unable to identify them, Shu sets the issue aside for now, wondering about the whereabouts of Jiang and Lili. Meanwhile, Fatty makes a dramatic entrance, carrying a whole tree in his arms. Impressed by Fatty's strength, Shu applauds him, even sharing a laugh with Alvin the chipmunk from before, who seems to be having a feud with Fatty. Eventually, the apples from the tree are picked and distributed among the survivors, leaving the squirrel dismayed as it watches its precious apples being fed to sucky students. To calm the squirrel down, Shu offers it an apple from his pocket, instantly earning its friendship. Meanwhile, Jiang suddenly appears, proudly displaying the weapons he acquired from battling zombies. Relieved to see his friend, Shu generously gives Jiang a spear for free since he was his only friend. But during their reunion, a guy with a red hat interrupts them and asks Shu for a spear. Recognizing the guy as a spy, Shu refuses to hand over the spear, no matter what he offers. Annoyed, the spy in the red hat moves on and rejoins his group. At night, while everyone is asleep, 9 spies make their move, jumping into the 100-meter hole. But just as the guy in the red hat is about to jump, Shu pulls him back and tells him to split their findings in the ruins. After agreeing with Shu, the spy tries to jump again, but Shu stops him once more, now getting fed up. Annoyed, the spy finally uses his weapon and swings it at Shu before throwing a self-blasting page. Shu dodges all the attacks and alerts everyone about the spy's motives, prompting Fatty to wake up and incinerate the spy. Realizing there are more spies ahead, Fatty decides to continue their pursuit of the Formation I, instructing Zhang to take care of the Dao Yuan students while he, Shu, Zhou Qingxi, and the Heavenly Network proceed through the hole. After all the preparations, Fatty orders one of the Heavenly Network members to form a stairway from the opening of the hole all the way to 100 meters below. Upon reaching the ground level, the group walk a few miles, only to find all the 7 remaining spies excommunicated with red foam dripping all over them. Claiming it's a mass sewer slide, Fatty continues to lead the group towards the Formation I, and while on the lookout, they get booby-trapped inside a room with sharp crystals on the ceiling. Suddenly, hundreds of Dementor-looking ghosts emerge out of thin air. Being a rank B Awakener, Fatty uses his Flaming Tiger attack to take care of most of them. Every member of the group helps in taking down the rest. During the takedown, a member of the Heavenly Network gets his stomach pierced by a ghost that looks just like the spy whose body they had encountered just before. Seeing the ghost's resemblance to the spy, Shu immediately discovers that the spies had committed some kind of a sewer slide ritual in order to grant the spies such a hideous form. While figuring out how to exorcise the spy ghost, the group encounters another problem as a horde of zombies make their way to them through a castle that is right in front of them. Flipping hell. Amongst the horde is the Zombie King, who has a shiny spear so unique that it makes Fatty believe that the spear the Zombie King carries might be the Formation I. After exchanging blows, Fatty and Zombie King lock into an intense battle. The group decides to help Fatty by taking care of the zombie cavalry. During the intense battle between humans and zombies, Shu decides to sneak into the castle as it seems promising in terms of treasure and money. You gold digger Shu. After making his way inside the castle, Shu gets attacked by the spy ghost. But Shu, being able to predict the ghost's attacks easily, is able to dodge and exorcise the spy ghost. Meanwhile, Fatty and the Zombie King keep on exchanging and parrying each other's blows. But finally, after a while, Fatty is able to get a hold of the spear of the Zombie King, which he thinks must be the Formation I. After resisting for a while, the Zombie King is finally able to fling Fatty away from the spear, and he uses this time to deal a blow to the Fatty's stomach. Meanwhile, reaching the center of the castle, Shu is ambushed by a terracotta army. As the haunted army marches menacingly forward, Shu's trusty corpse dog emerges from his chest, casting a formidable purple aura that sends the terracotta army scampering back to their posts, eager to avoid trouble. Seizing the opportunity, Shu swiftly loots all the shiny spears from the terracotta soldiers, planning to cash in on them later. Plus, he gets the extra bonus of magical cringe points. Meanwhile, Zifei, Fatty, Zhou Qingxi, and their fellow Heavenly Network members battle fiercely against the zombified King's army. Zhou Qingxi displays her formidable skills, effortlessly dispatching a group of zombified soldiers with a single decisive strike. In the midst of the chaos, Fatty finds himself under attack from the Zombie King, who summons powerful purple dragons to aid him. Enraged by the onslaught, Fatty breaks free from the dragon's grasp and seizes the leader's spear. determined to turn the tide of battle. However, the cunning zombie leader slips away, making a swift retreat towards the safety of the castle. Searching for more treasure to loot, Shu enters a mysterious room in the castle. There he delves into its secrets while Fatty, still convinced that the spear is the coveted Formation I, pursues the zombie leader relentlessly. However, their pursuit takes an unexpected turn when Fatty confronts the leader, finally wrestles the spear, and discovers that it is not the sought-after artifact after all. Silly goose. In a desperate bid to evade capture, the zombie leader races to the room where Shu is grave robbing, only to find Fatty hot on his heels. With the situation growing increasingly dire, the zombie leader commands the stone guards, now disarmed of their spears, to hold off Fatty while he makes his move towards Shu. As Shu delves deeper into the mysterious room, he stumbles upon a cryptic riddle nearby. Focused on unraveling its secrets, he is suddenly confronted by the zombie leader, who leapfrogs forward to jump him. In the heat of the moment, Shu accidentally knocks over a box resting on the table, inadvertently breaking its seal when he catches it to stop it from falling. A golden light fills him, and to everyone's surprise, this triggers a chain reaction, causing the ruin to rapidly dissipate, transporting them all, in the nick of time, back to the campsite where their journey began. As the chaos subsides and the mist clears, the injured are promptly attended to, and a sense of normalcy gradually returns. Amidst the commotion, Jiang frantically searches for Lu Shu, alerting Zifei to his friend's disappearance. Li, thankful for Shu's help, tries to look for him, only for the drip Lord Lu Shu to finally make his entrance covered in jewels. While everyone was worried sick about him, he heads to the front of the line as he has to hurry home check up on Xiao Yu. Shu quickly takes his reward for the spears he gathered from the ruins and heads back home. On his way through the forest, he spots Xiao Yu high up in a tree. She's been waiting for him as her abandonment complex was activated by his desertion. Xiao Yu breaks into tears at the sight of Shu. He's been gone for days. To make it up to her, Shu Pinky promises to take her out for dinner the next day. At home, Shu asks Xiao Yu to summon the muscle man that she had previously Lazarus. After complying, Shu shows Xiao Yu 2 energy beads that he had formed during his time in the ruins. The black one was made by the energy absorbed from the zombie monsters that Coarse Dog had slashed, and the colorful one was from the absorbed energy of eliminated humans. Shu feeds the black one to the muscle man, which increases his power, but also has a side effect of making the muscle man laugh hysterically. Shu also gives Xiao Yu the apples he had stolen when he was in the ruins. Xiao Yu loves it, but the chipmunk that was perched on Shu's shoulder is not impressed and loses his little temper as she eats his apples without consent. Xiao Yu thinks that the squirrel is the cutest chubster, and she names it Little Fierce Shu. She immediately makes him her pet, and she feeds him Lay's potato chips, which he immediately falls in love with. Later that night, Shu investigates the artifact that opened the seal within the ruins. He transfers his mind inside it, only to find himself floating near the location where they previously camped. Shu realizes that he is able to control the surrounding aura, which is probably the reason why the zombie leader wanted to keep the artifact for himself. Shu returns back to his body only to realize that the artifact has a circular pit on the bottom. Shu once again transfers his mind inside the pit at the bottom, only to find himself in an unknown dimension. He finds the spears that he had stolen from the ruins and realizes that this place functions as a storage room. Shu then turns his gaze towards an enormous door that stands before him. Unable to open it, Shu peeks through a tiny opening and sees a beautiful ancient castle in the mist. Suddenly he hears Xiao Yu calling his name, so he returns to his body. Xiao Yu is freaked that Shu has passed on, but Shu calms her down. He shows her the valuable items that he has collected from within the ruins, which he will sell to earn loads of money. He vows to stay with her and live the life that he has always imagined. Somewhere else, Shizu Jin meets with Aaron Yega Iga to share his speculations. As the Heavenly Network has failed to find the Formation I. This time, Shizu Jin speculates that the spies must have taken the Formation I before them. No matter, as they believe that more ruins will be opening up soon, the Heavenly Network prepares itself for a war between heaven and earth. Things are going to get even crazier. I guess we'll have to wait for Season 2 to figure out what happened to his mama, who the heck his daddy is, what's up with that nutty necklace, and all the intrigues from the secret societies and their agents and their connection to Old Man Lee. Thanks for watching. Be sure to slash that like button like shoes slash those zombies. Subscribe to awaken your powers with notifications on. Also remember, no matter who you are, where you come from, or what you do, true power is inside you. Power that can alter your destiny. So train your body and your mind. Don't let bullies bring you down. Prepare yourself for glory ahead. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Your ancestors are with you. Take care, till next time. This is your anime sensei signing off.